Going on, everybody? It's me, Eli, here, back again with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you a guide on how to play Gladiator in For Honor. I'm going to be showing you his moveset, combos you can do with him, his feats, and some gameplay. Now, I'm only rep 2, almost rep 3 with Gladiator. I've only been playing For Honor for about 2 months now, but I think I'm a little better than that just because I've watched so much gameplay with him, and I've been playing him a lot recently, so I think I overall have a lot of knowledge of them. And if there's anything I left out, any good combos you can do or anything like that, or anything I should have done better in the gameplay, please let me know in the comments if you're a Gladiator main, because I really like his play style, his moveset, and how he looks. I think he's a really cool character. So with all that being said, I hope y'all do enjoy the video, and I hope you do learn something from it. So first, we're going to be going over Gladiator's moveset. So he has 4 light attacks that you can also chain, and they are pretty hard to react to, especially for a newer player. He also has side lights, which you can use, which are really good for like chip down your opponent and getting some free hits in, especially if you do the top one. It's really hard to react to. Another thing you can do with this top heavy is what I like to call teleporting. So like I'm standing right here, so you basically teleport to the warden here. So this is how it looks. See, it's super hard to react to. It's basically a free hit 90% of the time, especially if you don't use it very much. Like if you just use it to get some free chips in or at the end of a match or something, it's almost completely unreactable, and you travel a really far distance and you basically teleport to the person. It's kind of a goofy animation, but it works really well, and it's one that I use really often. He also obviously has his 2 heavies here, a light and a heavy, and also, as I said, the 4 chain lights, which are really good. Just don't spam his chain lights all the time. Just use them in certain areas and like certain combos and stuff, because they can work really well. But if you're just constantly throwing out this chain, they're just going to parry every attack and get a free right or left heavy in. So just avoid using it really often. Now here are his bashes. He has a punch here you can do from literally anywhere, right, left, straight, wherever you want to do it. You don't get a guaranteed hit in, but it's really good for pressuring your opponents and starting combos, as it's a chain starter. So you can do this, this right here. It's just really good for putting pressure on your opponent, and best of all, starting a chain. So one thing you do is, you can do this, and you can just hit him with a light, but that's usually not what I do. Usually, if I hit him with that, I just go like this, heavy, or I'll do that heavy feint into a guard break and then heavy. Now this is a zone attack. It's arguably the best zone attack in the game. It starts off with a shield bash and then a side heavy. It's really good, and most people can't react to it. If they're really low or something, just throw this out, and it's pretty hard to react to. It's also feintable, so you can feint it into a guard break or whatever you want, really, but usually that's what I do, is just feint it into a guard break or a side punch. Another thing I do with it is you can make it to where the actual shield doesn't hit him, but then your trident comes around and hits him. It really confuses your enemy when the shield doesn't hit him, and so they usually go for attack, and you can catch them really off guard with that. And now he has his toe stab. Usually this is best to use when your enemy is out of stamina. So when they're out of stamina, you come down and then hit them with your skewer. And that's what's next, is a skewer. So a skewer is really, really good. It can only be used in chains, but Gladiator is, a chain guy. I mean, you can chain him with basically anything. So usually what I do is I'll hit him with a punch, skewer, feint, guard break, or you can follow through with it. And it's just another thing that I don't throw out super often, just occasionally when I follow through with it to catch the opponents off guard. But usually I feint it into a guard break. But one of my personal favorite combos to do with them is shield bash, skewer, feinted into the zone. It works really well to confuse your enemy. So you can chain it with literally anything. Light, heavy. As I already mentioned, the shield bashes, or even the zone. That's one thing I really like about Gladiator. Basically, his whole kit can be chained, so he's really good to put pressure on your opponents and can be really deadly in the right hands. You can either hit the skewer and then let them sit on it and get a lot of bleed damage in. It's usually about 1 full heavy attack equivalent, and it ticks down about 2 to 5 damage if I'm not mistaken. Or you can throw them into the wall. I usually do the wall one more just because it allows a free top heavy. But occasionally I do let them bleed. If you're not close to a wall, always let them bleed. So a skewer can throw pretty far though. So don't always let it bleed. Even if you don't think you can get it to the wall, a lot of the times you can if you just try. Like that right there. I didn't show the best example, but you can throw them pretty far with the skewer. But like right here, if you're out in the open, always just let this bleed right here. Like right here, skewer, let them bleed. You're too far from the wall, so just always let them bleed right there. And another thing with this skewer, and my personal favorite, is you can deflect into a skewer. So that's the skewer deflect right there. And if you don't know to deflect, when someone throws a light, just wait right before the light attack hits you and then dodge into the light attack. And to do this specific skewer, all you do is once you deflect, press R2 right after you deflect, and you can let them bleed or throw them into the wall, whatever you want to do, whatever's best for the situation at hand. But it's really powerful, especially if you're good at deflecting. I'm still not 100% at deflecting. I'm still working on that, but when I do get that deflect skewer off, it is so satisfying and can lead to some big damage or combos. And also, I forgot to mention, he has a bamboozle attack. So basically, it's just when you miss your sprint attack, you just press square and it punches your enemy and it stuns them, and it takes their HUD off their screen for a second so they can't see, when to block or just their HUD at all. I think it's pretty strong, but I very rarely use it just because I don't think it's strong enough to just to use often. And in my opinion, it doesn't work as well against good players just because of the fact that even without their HUD, they're still really used to blocking and parrying, so they can do it even without the flash indicator. So if you miss your sprint attack entirely, you just press square afterwards and it throws out a punch. And lastly, I forgot to mention, I'm not going to showcase it because it speaks for itself, and also I just don't feel like dealing with this bot to get it out of stamina and all that. So if they're laying on the ground and you do your skewer attack, then it is guaranteed to hit no matter what. And lastly, he also has counter jabs. So his regular counter jab and his counter jab heavy. So all these are is when you parry, you press square, and on the regular counter jab, it just knocks them back. And then on the counter jab heavy, once you parry square and then press R2, and you might hit a heavy attack. Yeah, that's it for Gladiator's moveset. Now let me show you a few combos that I personally use. So I've already shown you this one earlier, but just in case you missed it. Punch, feint the skewer, guard break, heavy. Now this one, the animation between the skewer feint and the guard break is a little choppy, but if you don't use this too often, then it can work really well to catch your opponents off guard, especially if you follow through with your skewer a lot. They will not expect this. So another one is toe stab into a heavy feint, into another toe stab, and then into your zone attack. I could have done the zone attack a little faster there. I don't know what happened, but your zone attack usually happens a little faster right there. Yeah, that's another good one I like to use pretty often. Or you can cut out the second toe stab entirely. So you can just do the toe stab, heavy feint into the zone. Either one works fine. I usually do the double toe stab just for a little extra damage. So this is another one of my favorite combos to do. So all you do is feint the zone into a guard break, and then heavy, and then follow through with your skewer. And then if you're close enough, throw them into a wall and top heavy. That one's one of the harder ones, but if you can get it off, it pays huge. I mean, it's so much damage. And this is my final combo. So it's basically just a running light attack chained into a heavy, and then you feint your zone into a toe stab. So those are my personal favorite combos with Gladiator. I left out a few that I just simply forgot, but as I said earlier, he's one of those characters that you can literally chain his whole moveset together pretty much. So just create whatever combo you like and you're comfortable with, but those are just some of mine. Now on to Gladiator's feats. So Gladiator has some pretty solid feats in my opinion, so I'm going to show you the ones that I use first. So for the first one, I use Iron Lungs, It's a passive, and you can still sprint when you're out of stamina, which is really powerful. So if you're getting ganked and you're out of stamina, you can still run away and try to get back to your teammates. Next, I use Righteous Deflection. It's also a passive. Parry to gain high damage reduction for a short time. Now, I love this because I parry a lot. Like, I constantly parry light attacks. So this one's really good. It just gives you damage reduction for a short time after you parry. So yeah, I just really like it because I parry all the time. If you're someone who doesn't parry that much, then you can use one of the other ones here. But if you're someone who parries a lot like me, this is going to be your best bet. This one's pretty optional, really. I mean, it's nothing crazy, just your weapons. I personally use Neptune's Wrath. You throw a trident for moderate damage. I don't really know why I use this one. I mean, I like it fine, in my opinion. It's the best out of all of these, but really this is just a personal preference thing. The last feat that I use is Roar of the Crowd. It greatly raises attack and sprint stats. I like this a lot just because, you know, of what it says. I mean, it raises your attack and your sprint stats. That's just really good, pretty unbeatable in my opinion. Now, these are all of his feats that you can choose from. Iron Lungs, Bounty Hunter, which is gain health and stamina when you kill another hero. This is also a pretty good option. And then you have Deadly. Attacks deal slightly more damage every 3 seconds. This one is also really good, but I usually use this on people like PK, where you can do constant fast attacks. I mean, you can do fast attacks with Gladiator, but it's a little bit harder in my opinion and not worth using over Iron Lungs. Just use this for PK or Orochi. On to the next one, you have Righteous Deflection, Haymaker, which is punches, kicks, and throws now deal damage. And you also have Executioner's Respite. When executing an enemy hero, gain an extra amount of health based on the execution's duration. I personally never like this feat that much, but if you're someone who is constantly doing executions just for health, pick the longest execution you got, put this on, and go and breach and execute the hell out of people, and you know, you'll get good health. I don't know what to tell you. On this one, I'm not going to butcher the pronunciation of this. You can just read that. Throw an explosive that deals moderate damage in an area. It's just, I mean, it's a grenade, pretty much. I mean, yeah, just a grenade. It's decent, I guess. I personally just prefer the Neptunes. It feels more personal, and it's more fun to use, in my opinion. And then not pronouncing that either, good God. Projectile that deals low damage and traps an enemy for a short time. It's like the execution I have. I can't remember the name now, but you just throw it at their feet, and it traps an enemy on the ground for a short time, and it deals very little damage, but you can get big damage off of it. And then finally, for his feats, you have Fear itself. Nearby enemies have lower defenses. This is just one of those reliable picks. You really can't go wrong with this one. It's pretty solid in my opinion. Then you have Catapult. Call a catapult strike to deal massive damage over an area. I use this one occasionally, not often. Usually use it on like Warden or something. I mean, it doesn't make a difference who you run it on. I just personally think that Roar of the Crowd is better on Gladiator. But it's mainly, most of these feats are really just fitted to your playstyle and personal preference. But overall, the ones that I pick, I think, are going to be your overall reliable best bet. But as I said, personal preference to each their own, you know. So yeah, that's all for Gladiator's feats. So now I'm going to show you gameplay from a few duel games. I'm not going to do Breach just because all that'll be is showing the feats. And I mean, you can read the feats, you know, they do, you know, exactly what they say. So just, you know, hop into Breach to test out whatever feat you like and just see what fits you and your playstyle best, and just pick using that. And, you know, feats, especially, you know, in Dominion and Breach, the two you use them in, can be huge, like huge game changer, especially like Iron Lungs and Roar of the Crowd.
Victory! Fortuna Giuba! Victory! Victory! Defeat! Defeat!
I hope you enjoyed the video and learned some things from this guide. Next, I'm probably going to do either Raider or Warmonger. If you did learn something from this and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.